Hey, what's up, y'all? It's me, Nate Almighty, and I am back with another power theory. This theory will be all-encompassing. This theory will grab from things we see in the OG Power, things we seen in Power Book 2 Ghosts, and I will use that to speak on what we can expect to happen in regards to a very important conversation that is likely to be had between Estelle and Tariq. And it may even be because of a Yaz video that I will also be putting out today. And the topic of today's theory is this. Estelle knows for sure that Tariq killed Ghost. And the reason why she knows that Tariq killed Ghost is because she probably also knows that Ghost killed his own father, whose name is Curtis, by the way, right? Didn't Courtney Kemp say that? And since Courtney Kemp does not work for Power anymore and Stars, maybe they'll end up changing the name, but they'll probably still keep the name Curtis. But like I said, the topic of today's video is Estelle knows for sure that Tariq killed Ghost, and she probably knows that Ghost killed his own father. And because she knows Tariq killed Ghost, because she knows Ghost killed his own father, it is what made it easier for her to come to the recollection that Tariq killed Ghost as well. Like I said, this video will be very much lore heavy. I'm going to remind you guys some things that you may have forgotten about over the course of the last 10 years of watching Power. This video is, of course, going to be a banger, and this is going to be spoken about in ways that you're not going to hear anyone else who makes similar content speak on. This video is going to be another banger. Like, share, comment, subscribe if you're new here. Without further ado, let's get to it. All right, now, y'all, let's break it down like this. Now, as we get into what we know will be Power Origins, which will be the beginning of Ghost and Tommy's rise in the drug game, we also will be getting what we believe will be named Power Legacy, which will be the continuation of Tariq's rise in the drug game, and we're going to have Tommy involved in that, and Braden and a couple other characters, right? Some new, some old. We can expect for both of these series to make connections to OG Power in some kind of way. But now what I want to do is, I want to first explain to y'all about how we can know for sure that Estelle knows that Tariq killed Ghost, okay? Without them telling us too much, the writers have always given us examples that Grandma Estelle is not just some foolish old lady, right? She has been the smartest person in the room many times, especially when it's been her and Tasha in that room, right? She has been the smartest person in the room many times. So I want to remind you guys, right? When we get to season 1 of Power Book 2 Ghost, and we have Tariq at the gravesite, at Ghost gravesite, and we have Grandma Estelle talking to Tariq, right? We know that everything she always says is always impactful, right? She always says some thought-provoking thing to either Tariq or Tasha. What do we remember from one of the final conversations she had with Tariq, especially that conversation that she had with Tariq in the graveyard, right? She was basically telling Tariq how he ruined the whole family, right? And more importantly, at some point she said to Tariq, she said, "And your father?" Then she looked at him sternly and she said with a stern voice, she said, "What happened to your father, Tariq?" Why would she ask him that? Grandma Estelle, who we all assume is so far away from everything that Ghost, Tasha, and Tariq had going on. Why would Grandma Estelle, of all people, look at Tariq and question him and say, what happened to your father, Tariq? I want you guys to know that for whatever reason, that was not Grandma Estelle literally asking Tariq what happened, as if she was really questioning what happened, as if she thinks Tariq has something to do with it. That was the wise woman knowing exactly what Tariq did, and she was asking Tariq to be a man and admit what he did, right? So she could at least ask him why he did it. Her asking him what happened to your father, Tariq, that was her saying, Tariq, I know what you did, little nigga, but why? Your father afforded us this life. Your father took care of me, your sisters, your mother, you, everyone. Had us in this penthouse. No, he wasn't perfect. Yes, he did step out on his marriage, but he took care of everyone and he had best wishes for everyone. He put y'all in a good school. He made sure your mother didn't have to work, right? Your mother is now living in a crack house in the projects, right? Because that's what, right? She's in Witsec. Look at what happened to this family because of you. What happened to your father? Why did you do this? She looked Tariq in the face and wanted him to tell the truth. And of course, Tariq chose not to. And because Grandma Estelle appeared to be so far removed from everything that's going on, because we know Tasha told Estelle certain things, but she didn't tell Estelle that Tariq did anything, right, to Ghost. We have to ask ourselves, why was Grandma Estelle so wise to connect this? And what I think is that the Power Writers have something very interesting, right, to show us when they reveal to us what's going to go on in Power Origins. And I also believe that they intend on having Grandma Estelle die on screen in the next spinoff, and there will be a conversation between Tariq and Estelle where she will ask Tariq to tell the truth again. And based off of who Tariq is, it's up in the air. Will he tell the truth this time? Maybe, maybe not. But what I believe is that they will make a connection in which in Power Origins, we will see that Estelle will find out, with beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Ghost, James St. Patrick, killed his own father, okay? We will find out in Power Origins that Estelle will find out directly from Ghost that Ghost killed his own father. In Power Origins, we will get Tasha's backstory, which will involve Estelle. We will get that. We will understand that Tasha is every bit of her mother, okay? As we see a younger, fine version of Grandma Estelle, okay? We will probably find out that Tasha isn't even as like slick as Grandma Estelle is. And here's the thing, right? This theory leaves room where one may question and have an argument that Estelle, when it comes to her, it is impossible that she would know what Ghost did to his father, if Ghost killed his father, because she wasn't even around when it happened. And Ghost moved to a new section of Queens after the murder happened, before he even met Tasha and Estelle. And if you have that argument, my response to that argument is that you would be right for thinking that, because that is the truth. Once Ghost's father died, Ghost left Uncle Gabe in that area and he moved in with Tommy and Kay Egan. And shortly after that, he met Tasha. Tasha proved herself to be loyal. He ends up marrying Tasha very young. Yes, that happens. But here is what people are overlooking, in which the truth could be revealed to Estelle, even though they weren't around when the murder happened. And I'm going to start it off like this, right? You guys do remember the beginning of Power Book 2 Ghost when Tariq was drunk and Tariq went to the gravesite and he was caught, right, confessing his murder of his father. He was caught, except it wasn't going to be permissible in law, right? But he was drunk and he was confessing the murder. Now, here's the thing. Because Tariq is so much like Ghost, what if being drunk and talking too much is something that runs in the family? Now, for all of you who feel like Lou may be Ghost's dad, right? This is another reason for you guys to believe, right, that Lou is Ghost's dad. Because I just said what I said to Tariq. What if, right, after the murder happens, where Ghost kills his own father, we do know that Ghost became a heavy drinker when he was young and he kicked the habit. And he started the habit again after Raina was killed. What if Ghost developed this drinking habit after he killed his father and of course in order to cope? And because of that, he was drunk, carrying on, talking too much one day, and he just so happened to be in Estelle and Tasha's house. Drunk, carrying on. Maybe one day he was drunk, he went to the house looking for Tasha. Tasha wasn't there. Estelle let him in. We have to assume that Estelle was very familiar with hustlers, so she didn't have too much of a problem with Ghost, because we have to assume, right? Or maybe that lore was directly dropped, that Tasha's father was a hustler in the street as well, so we know that Estelle would be familiar. And with Estelle, right, seeing her future son-in-law, maybe Tasha and Ghost are engaged at this point. Maybe she's catering to him, trying to see what's going on to him. It's very possible that Ghost opened up his mouth and said too much, and he literally confessed to the murder of his own father in front of Estelle. And at that point, Estelle understood that the person who her daughter either just married or the person who has her daughter pregnant right now with twins is a very dangerous man. And we may find out, right, that either Estelle spoke to Tasha about it, but Estelle seems like a person who would be privy to that information and may have just decided to keep that information to herself going on 20, 30 years later, right? And we may find out, right, that the reason why she understands that Tariq killed his own father is because she knows that Ghost confessed to killing his own father as well. And that information got revealed due to Ghost's extreme drinking habit that he developed in order to cope with the loss of his father. It's very possible because we know Ghost started drinking again to cope with the loss of Raina. And we also know that Tariq started drinking briefly, or he allowed himself to get drunk, and that allowed him to express his grief over killing his own father that night in the graveyard. All of this is possible because if you aren't familiar, right, Omari Hardwick, who plays James St. Patrick, he had an interview with Fat Joe. And what he said is that he wished he really had the opportunity, right, to really show, right, all the Power fans who Ghost really was. He said that we don't even know Ghost. After 10 years, right, after 4 or 5 years of speculating, is Ghost alive, what kind of person Ghost was in his younger life, before they even give us Power Origins, right? After 6 years of feeling like we knew Ghost, Omari Hardwick said there's so much story, so much depth to Ghost, James St. Patrick, that we still don't know about. Could this be more of what we don't know? I will conclude this by saying, without a shadow of a doubt, Grandma Estelle knows Tariq killed his father. And she probably knows that Ghost killed his own father. And I just explained to you guys the direct reason that is justifiable of her being privy to that information, even though she was not there when this supposed murder of Ghost's father happened. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Peace.
Can't teach that shit, nigga. Come on. That's God given. That's touch my ink. That's on the dome, nigga.